Welcome to POSTCAST. The Utah Jazz just blow out the Los Angeles Lakers and are the #1 team in the West as we stand here right now after a demolishing of the shorthanded LA Lakers 139-116 in an offensive exhibition. Ron Boone will explain to us what's possibly going on in this wacky world and why if you projected the Jazz to be the #1 team in the West on Election Day, you should actually go buy a lottery ticket right now because I'm not sure which odds were more crazy. It's all coming up on POSTCAST. David Locke along with Ron Boone for you on POSTCAST. Ron Boone, I'm not surprised they won tonight, I'll be honest. There's been some other nights where we've been surprised sitting here. This is not a big stunner that they won tonight. But 139 points in a seemingly unstoppable offensive performance was another eye-opening outing.
David, I was thinking about this today, and lots of times at the beginning of the year, you start looking at your team, your defense ahead of your offense ahead of your defense. Jazz defense is not that bad, but their offense is much better. And so with the way the league is going right now, with offense being the premium, I think that's one of the reasons that the Jazz they're just ahead of a lot of these other teams in the NBA and doing it very well.
Ron, you made the comment on our postgame show that the team fits together. What is it that has been that is being put together here by Will Hardy? Will Hardy made an interesting comment on the postgame on the pregame press conference today. Hey, we're trying to get to learn each other better. It was in reference to the fact that something we talked about a lot last night, that they're playing Colin Sexton now with Mike Conley a great deal, and that has kind of opened up Colin Sexton to be his best player. What is Will Hardy learning about this team, and what is it about this where you make the comment these pieces are fitting together?
Will is experimenting and getting away with it because the team. Let's put it this way: I talk about this a lot, and sometimes you wonder that does talent overshadow a team that has complementary players that fit a system. And I don't know if Danny Ainge knew or had any thought, or Will had any thought on what players were going to play well together. But this team, I think they complement each other and they fit the system. I don't know if Danny Ainge expected this when he put this team together, but this is something that has really happened to this team.
We were just talking about this with Craig Bolajak before we started the show, that they made two moves, and we talked about this a little bit with Jake and Tim. They made two moves after trading Donovan and after trading Rudy that are really important moves. Like, they fleeced the Lakers on Taylor Horton-Tucker for Patrick Beverley. Like, that's a fleece. Taylor Horton-Tucker is 21, and Patrick Beverley is
30.
Like, a kind of an interesting, fun, like, SportsCenter Stephen A. Smith piece. Yeah. Right. And then I love Bojan Bogdanovic, but you had to move Bojan Bogdanovic to be able to get Lauri Markkanen in time. Mm-hmm. You really couldn't play the two of them together. Kelly Olynyk is just fabulous. Yeah. And I've always loved Kelly Olynyk, the player, but now that I watch him actually every night, I'm going to be really 100% transparent here. I've always loved Kelly Olynyk, and then always wondered why I only played 16 minutes. And actually what I kind of decided was that Kelly Olynyk was the player that you loved if you saw him twice a year. But if you had him 82, like, his weaknesses would, like, wear you out and you don't like, it's the opposite, actually. He's actually the player, if you have 82, I think you really grow to admire and like what he does. I mean, one of the key plays, there weren't key plays tonight. The Jazz killed these guys. But, into the post, pass out, rotate, corner three, kind of the dagger. Like, those are starting with Olynyk. Last night, all those key plays with late in the game, the Clippers with Conley is a two-man game with Olynyk. Like, when your big man can play on the outside and move it like he does and make good decisions and be that astute, it changes everything.
So it just makes you wonder, has he been on teams that have where he could show his talent and his value on a team and not so much playing a limited amount of minutes, and to the point where he's playing starter minutes, and then his overall game shows exactly how important he is. I love him, and I hope that, how many, let me ask you this question. How many other teams was he a starter on? You know,
He
from what I
wasn't.
remember, he was always been coming off the bench on various
Right, no,
teams.
he really wasn't a starter very often. He played for Boston. And let's go back, if you haven't heard this story, I was talking to Kelly in the locker room about this kind of his career progression and getting here, and we were in Houston, and if you don't recall, he played 25 games for Houston, and in those 25 games, the end of a kind of a COVID year, he averaged 19 points and 8 rebounds, and he played 32 minutes, and he started all of them. And I said, and I think I'm going to guess they went 2-23. I don't know that for a fact, but they were somewhere. And I said, how was that? And I'm expecting him, having been at Boston and Miami, to say, oh, that sucked. And he says, oh, that was the greatest time of my basketball career. That opened up my joy to the game and brought me the love of all of being around the game again and allowed me to show all my skills. And then if you go back and look at his Detroit first 15 games, it's kind of the same guy, and then he gets injured and Detroit moves on. So we're getting the benefit of this Kelly Olynyk, who was such a good player at Gonzaga, who played for Boston for 4 years and Miami for 4 years as a role piece who had to fit into a role, being kind of unleashed in Houston on a terrible team, and now he is so fabulous.
That's exactly what I was pointing at, because now he gets those starter minutes and he gets to play his style, but those minutes are very valuable to what the Jazz are doing out there on the floor. And you know, just speak about, he's not a complimentary player. He's a player that fits this system that makes, you know, just makes everything good out there on the floor. I love him, and he's physical. You can always count on him getting at least 4 fouls a ball game. He doesn't get pushed around.
The key to this game is that Anthony Davis goes 9 of 12 in the first half and 2 of 6 in the second half, and that goes. And Kai, we throw a shout out to you in Finland, tuning in, Kai Von Gni, who says, nice to watch the Jazz game from Finland. Markkanen will be an all-star player this year with a nice flame there, so welcome, hello to Finland. But I think Lauri Markkanen's offense, forcing Anthony Davis to play defense, Alex Jensen said that to us in the pregame show, was the key component of this basketball game to me tonight, was that you made AD, wore him out. Whatever's going on with AD, it's crazy. He's 23 of his last 35 in first halves, averaging 19 points a game in the last 3 first halves. He's 4 of 12, averaging 4 points in second halves. Tonight it was because the Jazz went at him and made him play defense and wore him down.
Yeah, and just think about Markkanen in the first half. The first quarter did not score. Spent so much time trying to defend and then concentrate on trying to defend Anthony Davis, and they will continue to work Markkanen on that left side of the floor. And Anthony Davis was either on baseline spinning, going to the middle of the floor, and he was scoring. Anthony Davis ended up with 10 points here in that first quarter, and then the second half started, and Markkanen started making Anthony Davis play defense, and everything turned around. What a second half there for Markkanen, as he ended up with 23 points, 10 for 15 shooting in 27 minutes.
Our audience is big tonight, as it has been recently, and our chat room is awesome. I apologize, I can't find who said this earlier, but this was a great line. They want to know, what do we think? This was from Keith Anderson. What's crazier? Jordan Clarkson going on the Nash dribble with his head on the swivel, or the Jazz being number 1 in the West?
Jordan Clarkson has expanded his game, and some of those dribble drives that he's had, the hook passes, the passes, the scoop passes, like a football player or something, scooping a pass to a running back in traffic between 2 defenders. I mean, he's expanded his game, or maybe he's been able to play this way all the time. We just didn't know it.
The other one I want to tip a hat to is Mike Conley. It's a back-to-back tonight. It's a tough turnaround. It's a 3 games in 4 nights. And Mike Conley is super competitive, and Will Hardy said it before the ball game. Mike wants to play, but we're going to trust him. And the Jazz were able to get through with Mike Conley playing just 24 minutes tonight, but he had 12 assists in 24 minutes, the second most he's ever had in a game as a member of the Utah Jazz. And he really is the fabric that is just holding this whole, or the string that's holding this whole fabric together right now.
Yeah, you can. It's so obvious, and you know everyone sees that. And again, late in a guy's career, you get to the point where you know more than anybody out there on the floor. You've experienced everything. You've been able to score. You've had a number of points, and you've done so many different things. Now you start to play a way where you're passing on some of your skills and some of your knowledge, you know, to some of your teammates. And in particular, and hopefully, Colin Sexton learns a lot from him.
Jazz are getting better. Like, the Jazz are a better team today than they were when we won in New Orleans. I'm pretty comfortable with that. Is that because they believe more? Is that because Will Hardy's beginning to figure each other out? Is that because they're figuring each other out? What's going on here?
Yeah, like we said earlier, David, you get a jump start on the season, and your offense becomes ahead of a lot of other teams' offense because you. And again, I think accidentally Danny Ainge put a team together and didn't realize that these players are going to complement each other as well as they're doing right now. I mean, he was all about the draft picks. Sure, he wanted to have a team here that was going to be respectable out there on the floor, and our fans could see that what they're trying to do, they're trying to build for the future and all this kind of stuff. But I think accidentally he put a team together that they didn't know it was going to be.
The only thing I'm going to say about the non-accidental part about it is I really don't think the Kelly Olynyk acquisition was accidental. I think Kelly Olynyk was acquired because I think he's like, if we're going to develop players, we have to have that piece on this team. Because otherwise they were starting Walker Kessler
let me explain myself.
Udoka Azubuike as a center at that point. So I think that was very intentional.
Let me explain myself because what I mean is that these players play so well together. I mean, who knows what kind of system that Will Harding was going to use. And so now you got players out there that, man, they just look so good. And Will's probably ecstatic. I mean, he's probably so happy because he knows in his brain or in the knowledge that he has for the game what he would like to see out there on the floor. And he's seeing it now, so he has to be very, very excited.
It's been very impressive. Special hello, a bunch of people from Finland, so big hello to everybody from Finland who's jumping on this one.
Did you tell him what Markkanen's line was tonight?
It's pretty awesome. Yeah. 23 points. I thought he would look tired, too. Yeah. 23 points, 10 of 15 from the floor. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a block shot. He was plus 14.
Yeah.
All right. 2 stars tonight.
I told you this was going to be hard, didn't I?
I mean, this was like a boat. This was not close tonight.
We had one player
Jazz
earlier.
Scored 76 in the first half. They led it 115-98 by the end of 3. And then we called a G League game for the final 6 minutes tonight.
We did not have a player that was minus.
No.
Oh, yeah, we did. Well, they came in real late, though. That doesn't count.
All right. I'm going to go. Here are my 2 stars tonight, and it doesn't really by the way, Andy, a few comments on the chat room. Just going to give you – chat room's funny tonight. I'm going to give credit. Andy says he wants me to start busting out some Finnish terms on the show. Okay. So I'm up for that. By the way, my dad's stepdad is like a super famous Finnish family. So I am like actually kind of like not really any Finnish at all. But if you'd like me to throw some Finnish, email me. And then Ron, I think you'll laugh. Somebody in the chat room said he thinks I get too scatterbrained at times. Really? Polar chimes in with a really. Did you think this was like a? Hey, by the way,
we knew that, didn't we, Craig?
By the way,
somebody else picked up on it.
Revelations. Lockett scatterbrain. The Lakers suck. The Powerball is really high, and like. Both sides will complain the election was stolen tomorrow. Like those are the death, taxes, and Lockett scatterbrain. Like we're guaranteed on all these things. Like come on. Like oh gosh, I'm really glad to see. All right, here are my 2 stars tonight, and I'm not sure that they're actually really for tonight. My 2 stars tonight are Mike Conley and Kelly Olynyk, and they're really for the season. You can overrule me, Ron, and go with your 2 stars.
You said for the season?
Well, I just like. We beat Troy Brown, Wenning, Gabriel, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves, and Kendrick Nunn was the starting lineup tonight. I'm like kind of just giving out stars for some other reason. By the way, talk amongst yourselves while Ron thinks about this. What do the Lakers do about their franchise? They don't have a pick till 2027, and I'm not sure they have core players anymore that are good enough to actually do anything in a trade market.
I can't pick.
What?
You know, and aside from looking at scoring, And
Mike
Conley's
Conley's
definitely
12
Conley's
assists in
definitely
24. Come on,
Yeah.
12 assists in
and
24
5 for
minutes.
7 from the field. So
Yeah, right.
Conley
Okay,
for 1.
Conley got to start tonight.
So off the bench, and the Jazz bench
Are you going
has been just
THT or are you
totally
going Sexton?
awesome. You know,
Sexton
the
came
Jazz
in.
bench is averaging 43 points a ball game.
Sexton's last 5 games, he came in averaging 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and
So if I gave this to Tucker strictly because he brought the crowd to the feet, you know, the dunk.
Bowler, what do you call that? You call it THT dunk or a TNT dunk? Like, what are you doing with that? Oh, that's not bad. Is that where you went? Oh, that's good. That's really good. Do you know
awesome.
The other night, by the way, on Malik Beasley's 3, you and I were like word for word the exact same? Really kind of scary, actually. Yeah, that means
So I'm
we've been
gonna
around
give
each
this
other
to
a lot.
Tucker.
Or we can actually hear each other and we actually say it.
I'm giving it to Tucker just strictly because he brought the crowd to the feet.
Taylor Horton Tucker. All right, a lot of inside fun. Hey, it's all S and giggles when you're 9-3 and #1 in the West. Have a great night. Talk.